Elvis Presley could afford anything except a normal life. From renting amusement parks and private theaters to accidentally locking himself inside a California mansion while trying to call a cab. This deep dive explores how fame became a prison, even when the king tried to laugh his way through it. He had it all: fame, fortune, a private jet. But Elvis Presley couldn't do the most basic things: walk into a store, catch a movie with friends, or even call a cab without turning it into a comedy. This is the story of how the king of rock and roll became a prisoner of his own fame, and how he sometimes found humor in the absurdity of it all. By the late 1950s, Elvis wasn't just famous. He was the most recognizable face on earth. Mobbed by fans wherever he went, he couldn't go outside without creating a frenzy. Security had to plan every move. Public appearances were either choreographed or avoided completely. For Elvis, fame didn't just open doors, it locked him behind them. Elvis loved the thrill of roller coasters and the charm of carnival rides, but a public trip to Libertyland in Memphis? Impossible. So, what did he do? He rented out the entire park after hours. He'd invite family and friends for midnight fun, playing like a kid in an empty playground, shielded from the public that adored him too loudly. Movies were another escape, but never in public. Elvis would rent out the Memphian Theater after midnight. With the Memphis Mafia by his side, he'd binge-watch films alone in the darkness, the echo of laughter and drama bouncing off the empty seats. It was his version of normal, in a completely abnormal life. And then there's the taxi story. One of the funniest and most revealing moments of how removed Elvis was from everyday life. While staying in a rented home in Palm Springs, Elvis woke up alone, craving a sandwich. But he didn't have the ingredients. No entourage, no assistants, just Elvis and a craving. So he decided to do something normal: call a cab and go to the store. There was one teensy tiny problem. He didn't know how. He called the operator and said, "I need a taxi." She told him to dial 411. He did. When asked what kind of taxi he wanted, he answered, "Just a yellow one, like everybody else." Finally, he got connected to a dispatcher, who asked for his address. Elvis replied, "I don't know the address. I'm Elvis Presley, and I'm renting a house here." The dispatcher, thinking it was a prank, said, "Fine. When the driver gets there, you better be out front." But when the taxi arrived, Elvis was locked inside the gate and couldn't get out. Frustrated, he shouted through the intercom, "This is Elvis! I'll be there if I can get out!" Luckily, Sonny West returned from shopping just in time, helped Elvis out, and tipped the driver $100. Elvis, laughing, said, "Give him $100. He earned it." That story's hilarious, but it's also sad. Here we have the most famous man in America, and he didn't even know how to call a cab. Fame had insulated him from even the most basic life skills. He didn't just lose his privacy, he lost normalcy. And the more famous he got, the more isolated he became. Think about this for a minute. Going off script here for a minute. Think about his funeral, right? This was the most famous man in the world. I would vow even more famous than the Pope, honestly. And think about how many people showed up in Memphis after he died. That just tells you one thing. Elvis was loved. He still is loved. Think about how many people show up at Graceland every year for Elvis Week. Elvis is loved, my friends. Elvis is loved. From empty amusement parks to shouting through a locked gate, Elvis lived a life that no one else could understand. You know, he said the image is one thing and the human being is another. And sometimes that human being just wanted a sandwich.